Hello and welcome back. So, what is on my mind today? What is on my mind today is the little towns and cities that I drive through, and then some of the farms and ranches that I pass by with their barns and old ranch houses. You see them all the time as you're driving by the highway, but how many people actually look at them? How many times do you go through these small towns and look at the buildings and the structures and think the architecture that was once put into these old buildings? Some of them were retail stores, some of them were banks, but most of these small towns all have these old structures, these old brick buildings that were built in the 40s and 50s. And they're ornately decorated with bricks and concrete with pillars. Some of them you could still see the painted signs on them saying what they were, or even chiseled into them. Some of the banks, they would have, bank of whatever town savings. And you look at them today, and some of them are falling apart. Some of them you could tell that the business owners that still own them are trying to keep them alive, trying to find somebody to fit in there. But in a small 150 population base of a town, who's going to rent it? Is there a business that can fit in there and make money off it? But they all have one thing in common in those small businesses, is that they were beautifully made, unlike today's buildings. Today's buildings are just straight lined, very little character to them, very little anything that makes them look like unique. Whereas those buildings in these small towns with these old brick buildings, there was character in them. You could tell that if you were going into a bank, that this was a bank that was made to try to protect your money. You go into a retail store, you have the elegance of on the windows and on the structure, that you're going in some place that is supposed to make you feel good. You don't get that in many of the buildings today. And then when you see these small farm towns or farmhouses along the road, and some of them are falling apart, some of them might even be still lived in from what I can tell, because you can see little things like a tricycle on the porch that's slowly falling apart. Some of them have busted out windows. Some of them are boarded up, but their roof lines are sagging, their porches are sagging. It makes you wonder at one time what type of life was in there. How many kids were born and raised in there? How many families, were in those homes? Was it like the Waltons, where you had grandma and grandpa down in the lower floor, then in the main master, and then you had the parents sitting there in another room, and you had upstairs where you had all the kids, and in some of these farm homes at the time in the early 20s, you had maybe 8 kids. And what type of life was in those? These kids running up and down stairs. Did they have good manners? Which I bet they did, because most kids and families at that time did have manners, which I don't see today. You go into a local restaurant, you can tell that everybody has their iPhone out and they're punching away, and very rarely even actually looking at each other. And then you have the parents that come in, these that have the high chairs, and when they leave, it looks like a tornado came in there, and they just leave it for the waitresses to pick up. Well, at the time these farmhouses I'm talking about were there was no way that would happen. There was a certain culture we had in this country where we respected each other to the point that our kids sat there quietly. They sat there and they knew manners. They knew what they were supposed to do. They didn't run amok. Even in their homes, they knew the rules. Did that mean some kids didn't get in trouble? Of course they did. Come on, kids are going to be kids. But today, if a parent even attempts to, discipline their kids in front of anybody, that's like everybody gets onto them. I kind of wish we had those times back again, where if you were in a restaurant and a kid was acting up, the parents would smack the hand, tell them no, and make them be quiet. I mean, yes, go ahead, let them have the little coloring books and stuff like that, but let them be part of the conversation that is at the table. You know, they don't let them scream. Don't let them sit there and turn around in their booth and stare at the people on the other table. You know, bring back the manners that we had at the time that these farmhouses were still had life in them, and these old buildings were elegantly built and had character. That's what I wish we had back in this country right now. Some morals, some character, and discipline. I don't see that, and I hope we get that back soon. Well, that was my thoughts for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm not going to say I'm the best at this, that's for sure. I'm new to it, and I'm trying. So your comments do and will help me make this channel better, and I'm hoping in the future that even my location will be more presentable. But while I'm still in this truck, that's what I'm going to be doing, and I hope you like it. Thanks.